The sky turned black, the winds roared like 1,000 engines, and the waters rose higher than rooftops. Typhoon Opong didn't just strike the Philippines, it ripped open a wound the nation has carried for years. Welcome to GeoFrontline, where we uncover the storms that shake our world, both natural and political. Today, we dive into the devastation of Typhoon Opong and the painful truth that many of the deaths, the destruction, the suffering could have been prevented. Typhoon Opong, known internationally as Baloy, tore through the central Philippines with terrifying force. Entire towns were swallowed by floodwaters. Families were stranded on rooftops, clutching children as the currents rose. Power lines collapsed, communications went dark, and in many places, rescue teams couldn't even reach survivors. At least 100 lives have been lost, thousands are injured, and tens of thousands more are displaced, left with nothing but soaked belongings and broken homes. But here's the brutal reality. This disaster was not only caused by nature, it was worsened by years of mismanagement, empty promises, and corruption. For decades, government after government has promised Filipinos flood control systems strong enough to withstand storms. Billions of pesos were allocated for pumping stations, seawalls, drainage improvements, and modern canals. Each time, officials declared, "Never again." Each time, contracts were signed, money was spent, and politicians cut ribbons at ceremonial openings. And yet, here we are, again, watching families drown in their own neighborhoods. So what happened? Where did those billions go? Images from Cebu and Samar showed drainage systems clogged with trash, pumping stations that were never completed, and flood barriers that collapsed after just a few hours of heavy rain. Engineers who inspected certain projects said the materials used were substandard. Reports are already surfacing of projects delayed for years, over-budgeted, or left unfinished. In other words, when the storm came, the very defenses designed to protect Filipinos were either missing or useless. This is why outrage is spreading like wildfire. Social media is exploding with hashtags like #OpongJustice and #FloodCorruption. Families are asking, why are we paying with our lives for the greed of politicians and contractors? Videos of submerged highways, cars floating away, and desperate residents screaming for help went viral. Not just because of the storm, but because people know this tragedy was preventable. And this is where Typhoon Opong exposes something bigger. Corruption doesn't just steal money, it steals lives. Each peso lost to fraud is a home left unprotected, a child swept away, a family torn apart. This storm has revealed that the Philippines is not only vulnerable to typhoons, but to a system that repeatedly fails its own people. But Filipinos are not staying silent. Across the nation, anger is boiling. Civic groups are calling this disaster the People's Flood, comparing it to the trillion-peso March protests that shook the country before. Tens of thousands are demanding full transparency in flood control spending. Some are calling for criminal investigations, jail time, even lifetime bans for politicians tied to failed projects. The streets are echoing with a new rallying cry: no more corruption, no more deaths. And yet, in moments of darkness, true allies reveal themselves. The United States was among the first to respond, mobilizing aid teams, military cargo planes, and disaster experts. American helicopters and ships are preparing to deliver relief to isolated communities, just as they did during Super Typhoon Haiyan years ago. U.S. officials have pledged that their partnership with the Philippines goes beyond military drills. It is about saving lives, rebuilding homes, and ensuring resilience for the future. Meanwhile, China's role in disasters like this remains a point of contention. Yes, Beijing often pledges assistance, but many Filipinos remember how some Chinese aid packages arrived late or came with political undertones tied to disputes in the West Philippine Sea. The contrast is clear in the minds of many when Filipinos are desperate. Which ally delivers help without strings attached? But the importance of Typhoon Opong goes even further. Climate change is rewriting the rules of the Indo-Pacific. Storms are becoming stronger, rainfalls heavier, sea levels higher. The Philippines, sitting in the path of the Pacific's most violent storms, is a frontline state in this new reality. And yet, instead of building the strongest defenses in Asia, it finds itself weakened by corruption and political infighting. This leaves not just homes, but national sovereignty exposed. And let's not forget the geopolitics. Disasters shape politics as much as wars do. The Philippines is at the crossroads of US-China rivalry, hosting new US bases and standing up to Chinese expansion in the South China Sea. But what does it say to the world if the country cannot even protect its own citizens from floods? Weakness invites pressure from Beijing, from economic instability, from domestic unrest. Typhoon Opong is not just a natural disaster, it's a strategic test. This is why many Filipinos see this as a turning point. The anger isn't just about one storm, it's about decades of betrayal. It's about politicians who promised safety but delivered corruption. It's about children who should be in school but are now in evacuation centers. It's about entire towns that should have been defended but are now underwater. The question is, will the Philippines finally change course? Will the government take real action, launch investigations, prosecute the guilty, and build flood defenses that actually work? Will it slip back into the same cycle? Disaster, promises, silence, repeat. What's clear is that the people have had enough. They are demanding accountability louder than ever before. And with international allies like the United States standing ready to help, the pressure is on Manila's leaders to finally match words with action. Typhoon Opong's fury will be remembered not only for the destruction it caused, but for the reckoning it unleashed. The waters may recede, the winds may calm, but the political storm has only just begun. You've been watching GeoFrontline. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because we'll keep bringing you the stories that matter, stories that expose, and stories that challenge the powerful. Stay safe and stay informed.